A very warm greeting to all the viewers. I am Mukta Tiwari, Assistant Professor, B.Ed Department, IIMT College of Science and Technology, Greater Noida. The topic of the live session is human right and gender equality. So let's begin the session. So human right. Human rights are fundamental freedom to which we are all entitled simply because we are creature of the earth. They are endowed by birth and are ageless. Means that we naturally possess human right, and which is existing for ever, for eternal, everlasting. Human rights are inherent and unalienable. If there are no human, there are no right, and if there are no right, there are no human. It means as we are born as a human, this human right, we naturally possess these rights, and these are unalienable. It means no one can give away or taken away. It means these human rights are absolute in nature, inviolable, and cannot be bought or sold. Human rights are given to people in order to preserve the peace and dignity of people and to help them fulfill their full potential as a people. As we know, in you human are the most important and intellectual creature of the earth. So it is the responsibility of the human or to preserve the peace, to preserve the dignity of the human. These include the right to life, the ability to practice any religion they want, the right to free speech, the ban on torture and enslavement, and many more. These are the few rights which is given in as a human right. So next is, what is the meaning of human right? So according to Oxford Power Dictionary, which define human right as the basic freedom that all people should have. These rights emerge from the basic human need and demands. The next definition, which is comes from Lasky. Lasky was the English political theorist. Uh, According to him, human rights are necessary condition of social life, without which no one could become his best to be himself, hold good till date. So, a synthesis between liberty and social life, as exemplified in Lasky's definition of right. For him, rights are essentially a social concept, and individual rights are closely related to social life. So, in this sense, the right of the individual and state power cannot be separated from each other, as the state has the primary responsibility for helping the individual development their best self. So the state cannot create right, rather the state plays an important role in realizing and protecting the right. So next definition which is given by the Subhas Kashyap. According to him, human rights are those rights to which every man and woman residing in any part of world is entitled by being human. It means no one can restrict his right as a his human right, uh, which is beyond the boundaries of the different country. So according to section 2(1)(d) of Protection of Human Right, 1993, by United Nations Human Rights, according to that, human rights means the rights relating to life, liberty, equality, and dignity of the individual guaranteed by the Constitution or embodied in the international covenant and enforceable by court in India. So, according to Andrew Haywood, the author of several political textbooks like Politics, Political Ideologies, and Political Politics, human rights are a modern and secular version of natural rights. And these are there are four characteristics to define human right, which is the first one is that universal. Human rights are universal in nature. Human rights belongs to everyone without discriminating against any particular race, religion, caste, creed, and other such differences. The second important characteristic that belongs to human right is they are fundamental in the nature. They are crucially important and are prime importance. The third one is they are absolute, and the fourth one is that they are indivisible. No one can divide human right. No one can fraction it. Human right. So, how this human right is started, at what time this right has started? So, it is very difficult to pinpoint the particular moment when the concept of human right develops. The concept of human right might be said to have emerged in the shape of natural rights in early modern Europe. Philosophers such as John Locke and Thomas Hobbes and other declare certain rights to be natural in the sense that they are essential to human being and are the heart of human nature. Human nature had no significance before to 539 BC, and the world only knew slavery. But a Persian emperor whose name was Cyrus made people aware of their potential and rights. After conquering Babylon, Cyrus announced the release of all who had been held captive by Babylon and the right to practice whichever religion they desire. And he documented his word on the Cyrus tablet, which is also known as Cyrus cylinder. And this was the first charter that established human right. The Magna Carta of 1250, the Bill of Rights of 1688 in UK, the US Declaration of Independence, which comes in 1776, the right of man and citizen in 1789 in France, and are some of the major historical contribution in the field of development of human rights. During these ages, humanitarian principle grew and there were progressive attempts to create rights. The Congress of Vienna, for example, attempted to advocate the abolition of the slave trade, which was eventually accomplished by the Brussels Convention of 1890. Even though the majority of the contribution was given by state for their own country and people, they provided the groundwork for the language of human right. However, it was the end of two world war that popularly the universal human right grew. In its General Assembly in 1948, the United Nations adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Two essential human right documents was adopted in 1966, that was the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant of Economic, Social and Cultural Right, both of which entered into a force in 1976. So Universal Declaration of Human Right is very important movement in in human right history. This declaration was drafted by representatives from all religions of world with different legal and cultural backgrounds. It was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in Paris on 10th December 1948 by General Assembly Resolution 217A3 as a common standard of achievement for all peoples and all nations. So it established the fundamental human rights as universally safeguarded. So, as we have said, in 1966, civil and political right was adopted, and in 1976, International Covenant of Economic, Social, and Cultural Right went into the effect. So, the covenant aspired to promote and preserve the basic human right. So, this first one, the civil and political right, is also known as first generation of natural right, are the most basic kind of human right. This right emerged during the 17th century English Revolution and 18th century French and American revolutions. The central topic of this right is liberty. The first generation right include the right to life, liberty, and property, and has have since expanded to include non-discrimination, freedom from arbitrary arrest, freedom of thought, freedom of religion, freedom of movement, and so on. These rights are frequently viewed as manifestation of negative right because they can be employed only when other are restricted. The important documents for understanding the meaning of first generation of human rights are Article 3 to 21 of United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. The second generation of human rights begins to popularity in the 20th century, particularly especially after World War II. The international war uh, tore apart countries' economic and caused immense destruction. As a result, over the 20th century, the struggle for economic and social and cultural right grew. The right are based on socialist belief, and the fundamental theme is equality, which contrasts with first generation right and the concept of liberty. The right of second generation include the right to work, right to health care, the right to an education, the right to social security, and so on. As a result, these rights are regarded as the manifestation of positive right because they impose a claim on the state and obligation to oblige for action, such as welfare provision. The main document for understanding the content of second generation right are Article 22 to 27 of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. The third generation of right evolved after 1945, which is known as solidarity right. This is due to the fact that these rights are concerned with social group and society as a whole rather than individual. So as a result, they view as collective development right. The underlying principle of third generation right is fraternity. Typically, these rights are influenced by obstacles that the countries of the global south encounter. These rights include the right to development, the right to environmental protection, the right to self-determination, the right to peace, and so on. The 1972 Stockholm Convention on Human Environment and the 1992 Rio Earth Summit can be used to better comprehend these rights. So there are basically 1 to 30 article which is included in Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which have all the first generation, second generation, third generation human rights included. So human rights are basic rights from the essential part of his or her development as a human being. So Indian constitution are greatly influenced by UDHR in 1948 and so provision of part 3 which stand for fundamental right and provision of part 4 for directive principle of state policy bear a close resemblance of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Uh, if we compare the rights, human rights given in UDHR and the fundamental right given by the Indian Constitution, we will find the similarity in both the rights. So, the first right, which is equality and equal protection before law, Article 1 in UDHR and Article which has correspondence provision in Article 14 in Indian Constitution. Prohibition of discrimination on the basis of caste, creed, sex, and religion or place of birth, which is given in Article 2 of UDHR, is same right given in Article 15 of the Indian Constitution. Provision of abolition of untouchability in Article 2 of UDHR and Article 17 of Indian Constitution is same. Protection in respect for the conviction of offense, which is given in Article 11.2 of UDHR, which is same as the Article 20.1 of the Indian Constitution. Right to property, which is given in Article 17 of United Nations Human Rights, which is earlier a fundamental right. Now it is converted into legal right, which is which is included in Article 31. Right to freedom of consciousness, conscious, and to practice, profess, and propagate any religion, which is free, or we can say freedom to adopt any religion, which is given in Article 18 of the United Nations Human Rights, which is also given in Article 25, one of the Constitution of India. Freedom of speech is same in Article 19 in Human Rights of in UDHR and Article 19(1)(a) of Indian Constitution. Protection of minority uh, uh, is given in Article 22 of UDHR, which is also which is also same in Article 29(a) of Indian Constitution. The most importantly, right to education is Article 26 of UDHR is corresponding to Article 21 of the Fundamental Right and Article 45 and 46 of the Directive Principle of Indian Constitution. Uh, in 1966, some more new rights come into light, which is right to life and liberty, which is given in Article 6A and 9A of ICCPR, which is same as the Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Prohibition of human trafficking and forced labor, which is which right is protected as a fundamental right in Article 23 of the Indian Constitution, which is same as the Article 83 of UDHR. Freedom of movement, equality of rights. These are the some comparative study of ICCPR and Indian Constitution. Freedom of speech and expression, which is given in Article 19(1) and 2 of UDHR, which is same as the Indian Constitution, protected our freedom of speech in Article 19(1)(a). So next, uh, which is included in 1976 of which is included in 1976 when International Covenant of Economic, Social, and Cultural Right come into light, went into the force in UDHR. According to him, right to work, which is explained in Article 6(1), which is same. Every person has a right to their choice of work in Article 41 of the Indian Constitution, which belongs to Part 4 of the DPSP, Directive Principle. Equal pay for equal work, which is belongs to Article 7A and Article 29D of Indian Constitution. Human condition of work and maternity leave, which our rights is protected by the Indian Constitution in Article 42, is also a human right which belongs to Article 70B and 10A. Faculties and opportunities to children for prevention against exploitation, which is Article 10A in UDHR and Article 39F in Indian Constitution. Improving public health and raise level of nutrition and standard of living. This belongs to Article 11 of UDHR, which is also in Article 47 of Indian Constitution. Compulsory education for children is protected by this right is protected by our Article 45 in Indian Constitution, which is also included in UDHR in Article 13A. Protection of interest of minorities is protected by the Article 27 of UDHR and Article 29(1) and 30, that is fundamental right of Indian Constitution. So these are all how our Indian Constitution is greatly influenced by UDHR or United Nation or United Declaration of Human Right. Now Human right and gender equality. As we know, humans, there are two form of human. One is male and another one is female. So we can say the gender equality is a human right, we can say. uh, and women are entitled to leave, but it is not, in reality it is not the same. Women are entitled to live with dignity and in freedom from what they want. uh, they need the freedom for any type of fear, they need the freedom for any type of violence. Gender equality is also a precondition for advancing development and reducing poverty. Empowered women contributes to the health and productivity of whole communities and society, and they improve prospect for next generation. I would like to quote the quotation given by a Napoleon Bonaparte, who says that give me a good mother, I will give you a strong nation. This is the importance of the women, the half era of human, we can say. Still, despite solid evidence demonstrating the centrality of women's empowerment to reduce poverty, advancing development, and addressing the world's most urgent challenge, gender equality remains as unfulfilled promise. So, for hundreds of years, gender inequality has been a problem for human rights. The World Economic Forum predict that gender equality may not be achieved in this century, despite decade of improvement. There are many issues that are related to gender inequality, like domestic violence, eve teasing, rape and marital rape, physical and mental exploitation, having no reproductive right. The role that man and woman play in society are not biologically determined. They are socially determined and changing and changeable. While they may be justified by their proponent on as being required by culture or religion, these roles are vary widely by locality and evolve over time. Efforts to promote women empowerment should ensure cultural consideration as respected while women's and girls' rights are upheld. Effectively promoted gender equality also requires recognizing that women are diverse in role they play as well as in age, social status, geographic location, and educational attainment. The realities of their life and their choice available to them vary widely. So, gender equality will be achieved only when women and men enjoy the same opportunities, rights, and application in all spheres of life. This means sharing equality in distribution of power and influence and having equal opportunity for financial independence, education, and realizing one's personal ambition. Gender equality demands the empowerment of women with the focus on identifying and addressing power imbalance and giving women more autonomy to manage their own life. When women are empowered, whole society is benefited, and these benefits often have a ripple effect on future generation. So addressing gender equality and women empowerment require strategic intervention at all level of programming and policy maker, and government are also doing a very effective work. So if we talk about the constitutional provision, we know Article 14, Article 15, Article 15A, which prohibit discrimination against any citizen on the ground of religion, race, caste, and sex, whereas Article 15.3 has special provision enabling the state to make affirmative discrimination in favor of women. Article 16 states the equality of opportunity in matter of public appointment for all the citizens. Article 23 ban tariffing in human and forced labor, whereas Article 39A says that state shall direct its policy towards securing all citizens, men and women, equally the right to mean of livelihood. Article 39, which is state equal pay for equal work for both men and women, we have uh, already taken in last slide, Article 42, which where there is a provision for ensuring just and human condition of work and maternity leave. Article 51, which renounces the practice derogatory to the dignity of women. Article 300A, which state the right of property to women. 73 and 74th Amendment Act 1992 provide the reservation of one-third seat in local bodies of panchayat and municipalities for women. There are more legal provision also given to women, which says some of them are given below, which is Equal Remuneration Act, which comes in 1976. Dowry Prohibition Act in 1966, Immortal Terrific Prevention Act, which comes in 1956, Maternity Benefit Act in 1961, the very important Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act in 1971, and Commission of Sati Prevention Act in 1986. There are Prohibition of Child Marriage Act in 2006, the Preconceptional and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act, Regulation and Prevention of Misuse Act in 1994, Hindu Succession Act 1956 with amendment in 2005, the Protection of Human from Domestic Violence Act 2005, the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace in Prevention and Protective Act in 2013. Crime identified under the Indian Penal Code, which rape, which comes in IPC section 376, kidnapping and abduction, which comes in ICP section 263 to 363 to 373. Homicide for dowry, dowry death, or attempt to death comes in IPC section 302 to 304B. Mental and physical torture, which comes in IPC section 498A, molestation in 354, and sexual harassment in 509 IPC. There are many initiatives taken by the government, which is National Commission for Women, Reservation for Women in Local and Self-Government, the National Plan of Action for Girl Child, which comes in 1991 to 2000. The National Plan of Action formulated exclusively for girl child for the survival, protection, and development of girl child. The main scheme of this plan was Beti Bachao Beti Padhao mission and the Dhanush to encourage universal immunization, and the newborn action, which address neonatal progress, neonatal and mortality. The next one is National Policy for the Development of 2001. So there are a lot of things given in human rights and in Indian Constitution, and government are also taking a very much effort for gender equality. Still there are many factors which is influence for gender inequality, which is access to education, political representation. There are very less political, still there are very less political representation of women. Women have no reproductive freedom as well as economic independence. So we can say government are doing appreciable work, but still something which is lacking is the approach of thought process. And all these things can be achievable only when our mindset, yeah, or our mentality would change, like both male and female, both are equally important, and although they have a different characteristic, but they are equally important. And uh, we uh, we can grow only both the major part of our society will move in a equal way. So I would like to conclude this session with the statement given by the UDHR, who says all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act toward one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Thank you.